Now it's time for Lefties losing it, and the DNC lunacy has really kicked into gear. We've even got NBA coach Steve Kerr, take a knee, Kerr. He was there and he had a message for Donald Trump.
In the words of the great Steph Curry, we can tell Donald Trump, night, night.
No. The Warriors coach had a lot more to say than just that. He spoke about why he was there, making a fool of himself, why he backs the Democrats. He explained what he looks for in a leader.
I believe that leaders must display dignity. I believe that leaders must tell the truth.
Got it. Dignity and truth. Let's get a dose of that with the leader that Steve Kerr backs right now, Joe Biden, who spoke sometime after Kerr. He was way past his bedtime, and it was a manic, incoherent rant. He told women they had no electrical or electoral power. Try to figure this out.
Women are not without electoral or political power. No kidding.
No kidding. But let's just get back to that dignity thing Steve Kerr was talking about, dignity and truth. And here we see that sort of glorious dignity of Biden repeating verifiable lies to sow racial division. And in doing so, he even invoked the name of his dead son. It's not very dignified in my book.
And chanting the same exact anti-Semitic bile that was heard in Germany in the early 30s. Neo-Nazis, white supremacists, the Ku Klux Klan. When the president was asked what he thought had happened, Donald Trump said, and I quote, "There are very fine people on both sides. My God." That's what he said. That is what he said and what he meant. That's when I realized, had listened to the admonition of my dead son, I could not stay in the sidelines. So I ran.
So dignified, so truthful, so full of joy. That demented diatribe was, of course, devoid of fact. We told you that years ago. It's all on video. The fine people hoax is just that. Trump did condemn the neo-Nazis and racists unequivocally.
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly.
And yet, years later, the Democrats, from Joe Biden down, continue to push that dangerous, divisive lie, even after President Trump was almost assassinated. It's beyond despicable. But Steve Kerr thinks it's dignified and full of truth and unity. Now, old Joe also seemed confused because he credited himself, and particularly Kamala, for reopening schools during the pandemic.
During the pandemic, Kamala and I helped states and cities get back their schools back open.
Kamala helped get the schools back open? Really? Do the Democrats think we have forgotten they ran attack ads against Donald Trump for wanting to reopen schools? Remember this?
Desperate to reopen schools because he thinks it will save his re-election.
We have to open the schools.
Critical shortage of PPE.
Threatening their funding.
When they don't open their schools, we're not going to fund them.
Ignoring how the virus spreads, risking teachers' and parents' lives, going against the advice of experts.
It's had very little impact on young people.
Trump was 100% right there. The virus had very little impact on young, healthy kids, and schools should have never been closed. And that was only one of the many, many verifiable lies uttered on the DNC stage by Biden and others. Indeed, the whole thing seemed to be less about Kamala and Walz and the Democrats' vision, and really all about Trump, Trump, Trump.
Trump, Donald Trump,
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump,
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump,
Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump,
Donald Trump.
Trump. Trump.
Who in the hell does he think he is? Who does he think he is?
Indeed, there was very little said at the DNC about the big issues facing the country. Throughout the day, there was only 3 mentions of inflation, only 8 of the border, 6 mentions of crime, but more than 140 mentions of Donald Trump. They seem a tad obsessed. And get ready for more Lefties content with my next guest, who is playing a dangerous game with leftist agitators in Chicago. Here he is starting a chant with these clowns before revealing to them that he is in fact pro-Israel.
DNC! DNC!
You gotta get behind the bikes, please.
What's up, everybody?
Behind the bikes, not in front of the police.
My name is Ami. I gotta tell you right now,
All me has
is
to
there a
be behind the
difference
bikes.
between Genocide Joe and Kamala Killer? No! I got one thing to say to you people. I'm Israel, I'm Israel, I'm Israel. Hi. I knew that guy was funny.
Oh, good Lord, he's going to get himself hurt again. Joining me now from the Democratic National Convention in Chicago is journalist and documentary filmmaker Ami Horowitz. Ami, you've already been assaulted by anti-Israeli activists this year when you had the temerity to turn up with an American flag. Tell me about what is happening in the streets of Chicago right now.
Yeah, looking at that video, God, that guy was an idiot. What was he thinking? Look, you're caught up in the moment, right? I saw an opportunity, and I'll just tell you how it went down, a little background of that. But this is not hyperbole. This is not making words up that are actually more dramatic than they actually are. If you walk around, I interview these people. They said to me, "We are pro-Hamas." In fact, one guy had a sign that said, "We should arm Hamas, not Israel." When I asked them, should we see the destruction of the Jewish state, they emphatically said yes. So when I saw the guy who was running this rally, the main pro-Hamas rally at the DNC in front of the Israeli consulate, and he was chanting, "Kill the cops." He was chanting, "Destroy Israel." And of course, he was also chanting how much he hated Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, right? Make no mistake about it. Her coming up to where she was, her elevation, maybe even kind of a coup to take over and push out Joe Biden, has created no love among these radicals. Make no mistake about it. They hate her still. They are still not going to vote for her because, look, she said very clearly, "I'm the last person in the room," right? She has taken ownership of all of Joe Biden's policies, good and bad, mostly bad. They realize that. So when she says, "Hey," and she tries to suck up to them and meet with the Dearborn, Michigan mayor secretly, by the way, so nobody knew about it. When Waltz has talked about how an imam in his area who was an October 7th enthusiast, he spoke with him 5 times publicly, called him a master class teacher. This stuff has actually not moved the needle for these people. They are animals out there attacking the police. And by the way, I got to give it up to the Chicago Police Department. They are not taking crap. They are pushing these guys back. They are not, unlike the police in Minneapolis during Waltz, we gave them room to breathe. The Chicago police have got this stuff locked down. I got to say, I was very impressed by it. I went to all the riots across the country. They did a great job. So, yeah, no, there's chaos in the streets.
But
they are not going for Kamala Harris.
Well, I'm not sure about that. They're certainly not going to vote for Donald Trump because he's as pro-Israel as they come. So in the end, and this is the argument the Democrats are making to them, is that what else are you going to do? If you don't vote for us, that's effectively a vote for Donald Trump, even if you stay away and don't vote that day. And I wonder whether that was behind Joe Biden having sympathy for these protesters.
To end the civilian suffering of the Palestinian people, and finally deliver a ceasefire and end this war. Those protesters out in the street, they have a point.
He said the protesters out on the street have a point. We had Barack Obama speak tonight at the DNC. We know what his Middle East policy was. We know what the Biden-Harris administration position has been. And it's no surprise that these protesters feel emboldened.
Yeah, no, look, there's no question that they are desperate to try to get these people to vote for them on this election, right? Then particularly in Michigan, right? That's kind of where they're saying, hey, if we lose these votes, we may lose Michigan. Also in Pennsylvania, there's quite a few of them. The reality is, of course, they're being emboldened. Absolutely. Look, that clip you showed, that's the real good people on both sides clip, right? Not the BS one they made about Donald Trump you mentioned before. Their signs are clear. They're not hiding the ball here. When he's talking about they have a good point, explain to me what point you're referring to, because when I was with them, they were calling for the destruction of the state of Israel. And by the way, they were crapping on you too, Genocide Joe, as they called him, or Killer Kamala, as they call her. I don't think you're right. When I was talking to these protesters about, are you going to vote for Kamala? They all said no. And I asked them, this might lead to a Trump victory. They don't care. They want to see the destruction of our system. And they were chanting, by the way, not just down with Israel, down with the cops. They were chanting down with the DNC, down with the Democrats. They are not down with the Democrats. That's for sure.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see how those votes go. You don't have compulsory voting in America, so you do have the option to stay away. In Australia, it's a different system. If we don't turn up to vote, we get fined. That's an issue for another day. But
is that true?
The radicals aren't just outside. It is true. We've got compulsory voting in this country, preferential voting, very different system to yours. But the radicals aren't just in the streets, Army. There's plenty of radicals inside the DNC venue, and giving an insight into how far left the Democrats have veered in recent years, we've learned that the head of a prominent social justice group, that's what they call themselves, who has published an essay calling for decriminalising of terrorist group Hamas, has visited the White House multiple times this year. That's according to official logs. Joyce Al-Joni's group has also called for the defunding of police forces and the elimination of immigration agencies. Why would a character like this have access to the White House? And who are they meeting with? What sort of influence are they having? I just find it astonishing that people who are this far, to the left, to the right, they're just, in my mind, borderline extremist. Why are they getting access to the Biden administration and to the White House?
Yeah, I don't think it's borderline extremists. I think these are extremists. I don't think there's any. Let's not pull our punches here. Look, I think you could look at it from a point of view of hey, we're giving them the benefit of the doubt. Or like that or you get it from the point of view of there's a real problem and the call is coming from inside the house. Look, if you want to give the benefit of the doubt, and this is not really the benefit of the doubt, this is also crass and terrible. Their viewpoint is purely electoral, which is, hey, we need to win this race and we will take votes from whoever we can get them from. And that means we're going to cater and kowtow the pro-Hamas wing of this party. We will do so. And that's to say that they don't believe it. That's to say they're just trying to make a political calculation here. There's another reading of this, which is, and I don't think this is Joe Biden, right? I do think this is Kamala, and it's some other people, extremists within. Look, again, Biden isn't running the show. He's not really president, right? So you have to ask the question, who's making the invitations? I don't think it's Joe Biden, right? He's not with us. He is no longer with us. So you have to ask the question, who are actually putting these invitations out to these radicals, who are really taking the meetings, and we don't know the answer to that. But the truth is,
this is the problem, Army. This is the problem. We don't know who in the administration is actually pulling the strings, because we know it's not Biden who's making the key decisions here. Army Horowitz, stay safe. We'll speak to you again soon.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.